Hello and welcome to this special episode of Tech Today from Berlin. What makes these European cities smart, truly smart, using technology? Also, what we're covering on the show is when you're traveling, and a lot of people seem to be traveling now, what are the best pair of noise-cancelling headphones that money can buy? We have them on the show. And of course, EVs and a lot more on this special broadcast of Tech Today. I'm your host, Aayush Ailawadi, and this is going to be an action-packed episode. Now that we've unboxed this, if you look at this case, what if I told you it's housing one of the world's best active noise cancellation headphones? That's right, the Sony XM5s. Now the XM series, the XM3, 4 were always the undisputed champions every year with each generation. These ones have gotten a bit more expensive and there's a few design changes as well. But are these still the world's best noise cancelling headphones? Well, let's find out. Well, when you take it out of the case, an absolute beauty. The Sony XM5s here in India. Is this the device that you should be gifting your uncles and your aunts and your brothers and sisters this Diwali? Well, that's what we're going to tell you. As soon as you open it, they're much lighter. This headband seems very comfortable the minute you put it on your head. Even while testing it right now, everything out here was completely wiped out. I couldn't hear anything. That's how good the noise cancellation is, and I'm not even switched it on yet. It's just the ear cups that seem very comfortable. I think that's something Sony has worked on. This headband is very, very comfortable. I just hope with a little bit of wear and tear, because these are headphones which you'll want to invest in for some time at least, that they can last a bit of wear and tear in terms of durability. There's a bunch of features which have been amazing on the XM series over the past few years, and I think Sony has continued that legacy. For instance, you put them on, and perhaps you're on a flight or a busy street, and someone comes to talk to you. The minute someone comes, there's two things that could get you back into the real environment. The first one would be speak to talk. The minute you start talking, the noise cancellation is turned off, and it goes into transparency mode, letting you have that conversation. And then, of course, the music is drowned out. And if you want to do this manually, supposing you're keen to listen to an announcement, all you have to do is take your right hand on the right ear cup, and there you go. It's super noisy right now because the noise cancellation is turned off and I can hear everything. Take it off, voila, and now the noise cancellation is back on. I find these small software and hardware hacks quite interesting on the Sony XM series. But there are things which aren't working in its favor. They're a lot more like the AirPods Max now, which are maybe twice the price. But these, of course, are platform and software agnostic. You can use them on an Android device. You can connect them with an Apple device as well. You can download the app, the Sony Headphones app, and all sorts of features open up to you. Let's talk about the amazing features, then the good features, and then the not so good features. And that's a very small list, spoiler alert. The really good, amazing features are of course two. The noise cancellation and what's it like to answer phone calls on this. If you're editing for long periods like we do on the show, or you are traveling on a flight, and we've used these on all our travels non-stop. And the two things that really work are noise cancellation and of course the battery life. The battery life is around 30 hours, similar to last year's model, but I think this packs in a little bit more juice. When we're talking about active noise cancellation, look, the XM series have been the undisputed kings. There are great headphones from Bose, from Sennheiser, even the AirPods Max, but the noise cancellation on this is another level. And this year, it's gotten even better. And the real feature which has changed and gotten so much better is using these for calls. So you'd imagine if you had these on-ear headphones, they're not going to be ideal for calls. I have been absolutely stumped by the call quality. People on the other end don't even know that I'm using headphones. Sometimes it's even better than using your ordinary phone microphone, because this has 4 beamforming microphones. That means they direct the sound accordingly, and I am absolutely mind-boggled, stumped by the sound quality you get on phone calls. That's something you didn't expect from these headphones, and it's changed a lot from the previous years and in comparison to all the other rivals in this space. So when you talk about noise cancellation, undisputed king, and of course, when you're talking about call quality, that's a pleasant, welcome surprise. Look, it's not all hunky-dory. There are a few things that we didn't like, especially if you're a Sony XM series fan. The previous ones looked similar, well, sort of similar, not entirely the same, but they could fold as well. A lot of you all write in the Ask segment saying, are they a great upgrade from the XM4? Look, in terms of noise cancellation and calls, definitely. In terms of battery life, maybe a little, but in terms of design, it's potato. It depends on how you interpret this new design. If you want a more compact sort of a setting, then the XM4s and the XM3s are great, and they're all available, and they're much cheaper than these headphones. So maybe that's something you want to consider. But then again, if you're talking about design, I think overall, if you've got them on your ears and you have a decent backpack to keep this case in, they're fantastic. The real question is, how do the XM5s compare to other rivals in the market from Bose and Sennheiser? That's not really the apples to apples comparison. Unfortunately or fortunately, you got to compare these to the XM4s, which were last year's headphones, still available for 5,000 rupees less. They fold as well and slightly different design, but they're not the latest and greatest from Sony, which happen to be the XM5s. Do you want to consider that for its design? That's up to you. But after testing these extensively, I can safely say that if you're looking for the best noise cancelling headphones in the market in any form and the best call quality you've had on anything that you've put on your head, maybe sometimes even better than your iPhones or Android devices, then the Sony XM5s at an introductory price of 27,000 rupees, which could then eventually go up to 35,000 rupees. So at 27,000 rupees, if you saved up for the festive season, these are a must buy. For the past few years, there's been so much talk of smart cities in India, and India's Smart Cities project is well underway. But what makes a city truly smart? How do you use technology to make the whole process a lot more efficient? Well, I caught up with someone who knows the smart cities here in Berlin. Here's what he had to say. Well, on Tech Today, I have a very special guest with me here at the Siemens HQ in Berlin, Matthias Rebellius. Thanks so much for joining us on Tech Today.
Yeah, hello. Hello, everybody out there. So it's good.
Matthias, you've worked so much in smart cities, and in India, we have a very robust smart cities plan. But from a technology perspective, I wanted to understand what are the true parameters that Indian cities should be working on to make them truly smart using technology.
If you say it's only two, a lot needs to be done, of course. But if it's two, definitely making it more digital, and then also more renewable, more sustainable. So how to do this? First of all, we need more renewable energy sources, outside the cities or inside the cities, and connect all of the assets. So we need smart metering, and then also more intelligent grid to manage the complexity and the increasing complexity in the low voltage grid, especially with all the e-car charging infrastructure, and also the decentral generation that we are having. And this will provide more sustainability in cities.
I think that's fascinating. You mentioned EVs as well. Now, we've seen a lot of EVs here at Siemensstadt, but of course, we are trying to push for EVs in India in a big way as well. Charging infrastructure, range anxiety. Are there things out there in terms of smart mobility that tech companies like Siemens have to offer as well, which can make the whole process a lot more efficient?
Yes, we also talk about the hybrid world. That does not mean that we have hybrid cars only, but we live in. There's an evolution of things. So the number of EV cars will of course increase, but not only in the private world, but it's also we talk about autonomous driving. We talk about charging as a service and electrical fleet management, which is a very important point, and also for bus charging, for example. We have in all of these areas we have examples around the world, also in India. And I do see this increasing significantly, and it needs investments also from the cities, the states, and also from private investors.
We're standing in front of an iconic historic building, and it's fascinating to see the mix of traditional architecture and all these smart solutions. Is this the way forward for the world? Smart cities similar to this one in Berlin?
especially here as we are celebrating our 175th birthday of Siemens today here in Berlin at this site. And we are just about to start the refurbishment, one of the largest here in Siemensstadt, where we combine the historic legacy, which we will also preserve for the next generations, with modern technology and making it a net zero, fully sustainable campus, open also for where people live and work, have also research and develop and deploy the technologies for the future, where we also will be supporting for the next 175 years as one of the most relevant tech companies in the world.
Matthias, thanks so much for speaking to us. An absolute pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you. Yeah.
But you know what they say, when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. But now I'm in Berlin, so I'm doing what the Germans do, which is enjoying a traditional currywurst. It looks yummy. For a desi traveling all the time, this is a blessing. Spicy, a lot of curry powder. That's great because that's what I have access to at this point. But you might have access to a lot more snacks in the fridge, so go get them and then enjoy the second half of the show. I'll see you soon. E-scooters galore here in Europe, but if you want to see a review on these e-scooters, what's it really like, the user experience, then let us know on our social media handles or in the comment section below. But for now, there's an EV revolution that's brewing, not just here in Europe, but in India as well. India's not far behind when we talk about electric mobility, and things are getting better and better. There's one such company, Ather, which enjoys a very loyal, engaged community. But are they happy with the new Ather bike? Well, let's actually see if it's a true bang for your buck.
The Ather 450X Gen 3 is the third iteration of the 450X range of EV scooters by Ather. So is it truly a generation ahead of its predecessor? And how practical is it to own it and ride it? Let's find out. From the look of it, the Ather 450X Gen 3 looks just like its predecessor. It comes in similar paint schemes, although it has a new set of mirrors and tires as well. We can ride this scooter in 3 modes: Eco, Sport and Ride. It doesn't offer a hyper mode which Ola scooters usually offer, which is for very high and extreme speeds.
The Ather app is the companion to the Ather 450X Gen 3 scooter. This would help in bringing all vital details of the scooter just at the tip of your fingers whenever you want. Moreover, this scooter comes with another unique feature. It has a built-in SIM by Jio, which would help with navigation, ride statistics, remote location tracking, remote charging and other exciting features. Most of these features are freely available until December 2022. Post-December, these features would be chargeable under 2 plans: Ather Connect Lite, which would cost Rs 375 for a quarter, and Ather Connect Pro, which would cost Rs 700 for a quarter.
Although this scooter looks a lot like its predecessor, but it has a 3.7 kWh battery positioned right beneath the scooter floor. Moreover, it has a 105 km range as per Ather True Range estimations, which is a 20 km upgrade from its predecessor. The large battery doesn't mean that this scooter is going to take too long to charge. Ather says that this scooter is going to charge from 0 to 100 in about 5 hours 40 minutes. You know what we found out? When we charged this scooter from 30% to 100%, it took us only 2.5 hours. We tested this scooter here in Noida. Noida is spread across 203 kilometers, but Ather only has a handful charging grid stations. Although this scooter comes with a charger that's compatible with a 5 ampere socket, it's worth noting that specifications like these are not available everywhere in the city. One could argue that a permanent solution would be to get a charger installed in the basement of your building. But do you realize how difficult it is to get an approval from a cooperative society for such things? Moreover, what about people who are living as tenants or paying guests who often change homes? Have you thought about what would happen to students who would want to ride an EV like this, but their hostel administration would not allow them to get a charging point built in the campus? Although the Ather 450X Gen 3 comes with lots of new features, a better battery, better range and whatnot, but it seems like it's not a practical choice yet, maybe because of the lack of infrastructure. All in all, the Ather 450X Gen 3 is a good EV scooter. It has a bigger battery, offers a better range, and also has exciting features like a built-in Geo SIM, which would help in navigation. These features are actually not available in other EV scooters. But once you think of the practicality of it, it might not seem like the best choice. Not because of any fault in the scooter, but because of the lack of infrastructure for EVs in general.
Okay, I promise I'm not being touristy here in Berlin. What I am trying to do on the new iPhone 14 is get you a sense of what 4G speeds are all about, because I'm not getting a 5G connection. 74 Mbps is fascinating that you're getting this on 4G. Maybe 10 times that is what you'd expect on 5G. But in India, well, of course, we have 5G networks that have become active. But what are the real speeds all about? Here's a Business Today TV special report.
5G services were launched in select Indian cities by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the 1st of October. A survey by Ookla shows the 3 5G operators are still calibrating their networks, ensuring that they are stable as they go commercial now. There's huge volatility in the network, with 5G download speeds ranging from 16 Mbps to 810 Mbps in tests conducted since June of this year. In Delhi, Airtel has reached median speeds of 200 Mbps, while Jio has shot to nearly 600 Mbps. In Kolkata, Airtel lagged at just 34 Mbps, while Jio had a faster speed at 482 Mbps. In Mumbai, Airtel has reached 271 Mbps compared to Jio's 515 Mbps. In Varanasi, Airtel was ahead with 517 Mbps versus Jio's 485 Mbps. Though the 5G speeds are still well below the 1 Gbps standards set in several countries, it's still much above the current 4G data transfer rates. Consumers, meanwhile, seem quite ready to embrace 5G. The report shows 51% of respondents already have handsets which support 5G. The top 5G capable handset brands include Samsung, Xiaomi, Realme, Vivo and Apple. Meanwhile, a few days ago, the Department of Telecom met with various handset makers and network operators to prioritize and release software upgrades for supporting 5G services.
I'm smiling, not because of the currywurst I had in the first half of the show, but actually because I'm looking at a piece of history. The Trabi, much like the Padmini, Fiat and the Ambassador, iconic vehicles in India, is an iconic vehicle here in Berlin. Berliners tell me that they've had to wait a very long time and easy to maintain. You can actually take this for a tour of the city. But what I find fascinating is that if you come to a city like Berlin, which is trying to become a smart city in so many ways, we saw Siemensstadt Square as well earlier on the show, and there's so many things that you can do to ancient cities to make them smart. But to understand the technology of the future, which we do on Tech Today all the time, it's always good to have a look at our glorious past. I'm going to leave you with this absolute classic beauty, the Trabi, on the show. This is Aayush Ailawadi saying Danke from Berlin. Until next week, adios.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.